This conference will now be recorded.
I can pass its object also. C1. In this case, I can use directory variables o1.x, comma, y is equal to one dot y. Should be resolved. Y. Sorry, I put C1. It should be C2. Yeah, I don't need to keep this word here. So in C++ type, this is called copy constructor. Copy constructor means we are passing the object itself. So this is the way. These are the various ways we can do a constructor, or we can apply our creativity to create as many constructors as possible. And let me keep C204 is equal to new C2 of, I can say, O3. Let me save this program. So first time doing O1 default constructor called with one parameter 10 0, two parameters 30 40. This copy constructor 30. No space here. Okay. This is about our constructor. Quick review of what did we learn about constructors. The only problem where we got faced earlier was how to call this default constructor here. So there's something called this off. On that day I tried. Wait. Yeah. Sorry. Constructor call should be the very first statement. So if you want to pass the if you want to call other constructor, like in this case default constructor is this one. So this is the way we can call other constructor into this constructor. So these are the various ways we can call the same constructor into other constructor. I mean, same class constructor with the different arguments. This is what I would like to cover. And there's something called, I don't know whether I covered super or not. When it comes to inheritance, if a class is getting extended with another class, and if you want to call the base class constructor, then in that case we should say super off. But at any point of time, either both super and this, both expects to be the very first statements. So we cannot keep both the things together. So if you want to achieve both the things together, you need to go to this class, the constructor, and there you have to keep the first statement as super. Wow, correct answer. 0 0 10 0 30 40 30 40, correct, perfect. Now Can somebody explain me what is this super function? Either chart or what is super means? Okay, I assume everybody knows, but they just want to disclose that. So super means I hope I covered inheritance in the last session. Maybe I'll write a different program. Super is nothing but calling the base class constructor. Yes, it is used base class constructor. Yeah. The answer is super means whenever if the class C2 is extended by any other class, then the base class constructor also gets called. So now my question here is, I wrote super off, it did not give me any compilation error, it's still able to run, but what is the base class here? That's my question. Perfect, object class, correct. As I said, as I described in the last session, yes, all the classes in Java will get derived from a base class called object. We also see this object and all the functions will come from object, such as equals, clone, get class name, toString. Some basic functions are there. All these functions will come into their class. So super means the default constructor get called. So these functions are clone, equals, finalize, get class, hash code, notify. These are all functions from object class. So one more interesting aspect is Java could able to, even though you did not mention extends clause here, Java by force could able to throw this object class without mentioning extends explicitly. But it is, as a developer, it is not possible for us to do the same magic. So if we want to extend our class to another class, like we create a base class called C1, and if we want to make it derived to derived classes, there is no mechanism where we can derive the base class C1 into subsequent derived classes such as C2, C3, C4 without the explicit use of the word extends. So this is one point I would like to convey. Java could able to automatically push the object class, but not by the custom classes. So with this, I could able to cover about the missing constructor stuff, this function. Okay. Now I would like to talk about generics. Anyone has an idea on generics? Templates in C++. So generics are nothing but templates in C++. Anybody remember templates? So array list is a perfect. Array list is an example for generics in Java. It is from, I don't know whether it's from util, probably. I don't know. Let's see. First, let me write a program on generics instead of me explaining, so that you'll automatically understand. One single statement before starting the program can be, if we want to substitute data types or classes dynamically, then that's where we'll use generics. So maybe it's a complicated statement. Let me write an example and demonstrate what I mean. One second. Yeah, let me take one more example. Yeah. Very cost up. Let me close this project. So class C1, I need a public static void main. Let's have a class C1. I'll come back to the C1 class later. Let me define my own custom class called C2, or maybe generic test. So far you have seen the class definition like this. So here I can put something called T. You can keep T, you can put whatever name you want. This represents the templates in Java. Once we see the example, you'll be understanding what am I doing here. I'm saying T01. Till now, nothing is there. And I'm writing a constructor called generic underscore test of T01. And I'm saying O1 is equal to, I can say this is dot O1, but let me say A here. So O1 is equal to A. And let me print system.out.println O1. So this is my template definition. Now, if I want to use this class in main method, I will say here in this T, I can put string in place of T. Some X is equal to new generic test string I need to pass a parameter here, llama. Maybe I can take one more example. This time I keep something called integer. Number 10. Okay. Let me say O1, O2. I'm using the same variables. This program is just to explain you what is the concept of generic. So most of my programs will be simple. These kind of things only to understand the concept. So you can, for the bigger programs and all, you can use this concept as base and implement it. With this writing itself, I hope you guys understood. Tell me how many of you did not understand. Is this program clear? Any questions? Clear. So if it is clear, means now let me come back. In C++ also, the same generics concept we call it as templates. Templates are nothing but runtime polymorphism. So during runtime, we can substitute the data types, so that we don't need to write. If you look at Java, Java has an integer, string, various classes are there for different objectives. So we can define one generic class, and by substituting various types, we can use the reusability. So that's the purpose of generics. What is generics is a really great thing. Yeah, I don't say it's a limitations kind of thing. There are other programming languages which has a better implementation of generics, but I would say what is not possible with generics. I cannot write int it gave me error. Insert dimensions to complete reference types. It means the generics in Java is only meant for classes, either standard Java API classes such as object, integer, double, or if it is your custom class. But it's not meant for primitive data types. The reason is the generics implementation in Java happened through object class as the base. Because these primitive data types do not belong to the object class, we cannot use the primitive data types like integer, float, character, double, byte, bit, all this stuff, boolean. These things we cannot use when you are trying to use templates. Sorry, generics. So that is one limitation. It's not a limitation, that is the feature of Java. That's what I could say, not a limitation. The second thing is, I could not say new operator. I need to say T01. I cannot say O1 is equal to new T off. Even though it's a new string off, it should be able to do. So this is one of the limitation, I will say, a lag of feature. So we need to implement the same new stuff somewhere else, and then we need to use the references. But generics cannot be applied with the new operator. So these are the two things you need to remember about generics. And this is the use case of how we can implement a generic on our own, on our custom class. So if we take, what are the examples of a generic class from Java API? There is something called array list. That array, regularly array means we'll have integer array, character array, float array, double array. We need to mention the data type. But array list is a generic class. We can implement, you can get the arrays functionality by just passing the data type. Let us see how we can do that. The same example. Array list, I would say string A is equal to new array list string of 10. So it's giving a let me check why can be. Yes. Yeah. The array list is derived from a util package. So that's why it gave a error when I tried to use array list. So now I created an array of strings with only one object, with only one class type called array list. If I want to fill some array values into this array, I can say add of Rama Krishna. I hope enough. Maybe one more extra. Some name, Hari. Now if I want to print them, println. Anyone guess what is the output? Ten. Perfect. Ramakrishna Hari. So that is the way it will show. And if I want to see the only one particular thing, then any guesses? Bytes printing. Okay. Since I kept here Rama 10, so okay. This program is already done. Let's focus on this thing. Yes. If I say get off 1, so this is the way I can access the data members in array list. Now I can do the same story for integer also. $20, $30. Maximum because I already used this variable. Let me comment out here. So this 10 means an array list is created with 10 different array locations, and I'm able to add members here 10, 20, 30, something like that. I can use for loop also to print all these things. That's it. You can try to experiment with double operator or with any of the class you want. But remember that earlier when I say only A, it printed Rama, Krishna, Hari. But if you do the same thing for your class, let's try that one too. That gives a better example, better answer. What is the output? One second, please. 10, 20, 30. This one. Oh, 10, 20, 30 is for the previous probably. What is 1 and what? See here. We got references. We didn't get Rama or 10 kind of thing. No, that's what. I know that you say Rama and 10. 1 second, please. I got a call small. One moment. I'm sorry. So here, when we print O1, it is printing the reference. It's not printing Rama and 10. Any guesses? So in the array list, whenever the value is there, they have overridden internally the functionality to show the values depending on the data type. That kind of thing we didn't do here. So that's why we are seeing here the reference value. So out of the box, when you say O1 means it's reference only, reference number. But here in the array list point of view, even though it is supposed to show the reference, but they have written overloaded or override the reference display functionality with the list of array numbers. So that's the difference. If nothing will happen automatically magically. We need to override it. So if somebody asks the question like custom thing and all, we need to say this is the answer for array list. This is the values. So this is this explanation clear? Perfect. So this is about generics. Give permission, then I can move to the next topic. What? Call on. I'm in a call. So now we can go to abstract class. What is an abstract class? Tell me. So an abstract class, we can say an incomplete class. In other words, the class for which we cannot create an object. That's called an abstract class. Again, those who already have an expertise on C++ is nothing new. Usually the concept of abstract class we'll use. The last time also we took an example of shape where we can define, whenever we are defining a base class with certain methods, with the default implementations, and some methods, they are dependent on the kind of derived class attributes. That's where the abstract class concept comes into picture. Let me give a small demo example for implementing abstract class, and then we'll move forward on it. Abstract. See here, already property is there, abstract property. I can say C1 class, an abstract, public, and definitely it will not have public static. Yeah, I can keep, but abstract demo. Why did it create package here? Okay, it create a package. So I can declare some variables if we want. Our main objective of abstract class is to see how abstract function behaves. So abstract void f1 of. Now if I define another class C2 which extends C1, let me put public static void main of string args plus. I can define the class through right click also. And void f1 off abstract implementation. Why am I space doing an error here? Okay, this is public class. So this is supposed to be c2.java. I'm sorry, let me swap the things. This is C1 Java. Okay, let me keep this as C2. Let me keep this as C1. Extend C2. Why it is giving a problem? So it is a 0.1. I don't know. return type for void is missing. What is this? Let's say you and take it. Interesting. Abstract demo. Cannot reduce it as native method from C2. Change method visibility to public. F1 to package. Okay. Okay, yeah. Here it is public is there, so that's why I need to say public here. Okay. Understand. Probably here if I say void, this also might work. Yes. So if I say C1 over is equal to new C1 off. O1 dot F1 off. Yes. So let me try to create an object of type C2. C2O2 is equal to new C2 off. It gives an error saying that cannot instantiate the type C2 because abstract classes cannot be instantiated. It just only for definition. It is like interface kind of thing only. We'll come to interface in the next section. It will abstract class contains fundamentally abstract class cannot be created. It is on its existence. The purpose of its existence is only to make it derived into some derived classes, and they will implement the abstract methods present in this base class. So does it mean that can't I define any other function in this? Yes. So in abstract class, it clearly says that I can define functions also, but it can contain one function which is abstract. So what an abstract function is, we just declare the function, its implementation will be done by derived classes. So another aspect. Does it mandatory that an abstract class must have at least one abstract method? No. You just define the class as abstract, that's it. Even though if it has all the functions defined with fully, no abstract function, still it's an abstract class. It can be instantiated. Usually we won't get a situation, but for the information point of view, an abstract class means it cannot be instantiated irrespective of whether it has at least one abstract method or multiple abstract methods or some of the functions have been defined. Here, so this F2 function came from the class C2. That's all we have about abstract methods, abstract classes. Any questions? Everyone is clear? Yes. Sure. This one? Yes. Yeah, correct. First point. So C2O2 is a new C2 off. You understood that it is not possible because class C2 is abstract. Are we clear so far? Okay, so let me comment out this one. Let's come back to your same question. What is that other question? So now I have, this is my abstract class C2. It has one abstract method called F1, one regular method called F2. This use case was given to show that abstract class can have some functions with void, some functions can, some functions with abstract, some functions we can implement within abstract class itself. That is what I want to convey here. Okay, what's your question? Here. Mhm. So answer to your question is, whenever you use the word abstract, you cannot define anything with the braces here. It means you cannot implement it. If you use the word abstract, it should be end with semicolon. Okay. So once it is ended with semicolon, this F2 function should be defined in this class mandatorily. Like however we define for F1, it may be done for F2 also. Okay. Looks like somebody. That's it. Is the question addressed? Is or Mhm. Yes. What is the okay? What is the use of creating an abstract class? Suppose I have a scenario. I mean, there's a common use case for both interface as well as abstract class. For example, you have a class. I'll speak to an example. You have an example called shape class, which contains two functions called area and perimeter. Okay, and you have three derived classes. One is triangle, rectangle, square. Each one has its own attributes. Rectangle can have length and width. Square can have only side parameter. and maybe circle can have radius probably pi r square, right? Yeah. And each shape has different parameter, different formula to determine the area and perimeter. So instead of defining the function area and perimeter in each subclass, we will declare the functions area and perimeter in the abstract class itself, and we will derive the abstract class into the derived classes. So, and you are going to implement them in the derived classes, so that you don't need to specifically declare them in each class, these function definitions. Does it answer your question, or? Yeah. So the same thing called abstract class. Similarly, there's something called interface. In abstract class, at least you can define some of the things abstract, some of the non-abstract. But interface, everything is. So let me write the code, then we'll talk about it. That's it. So interface is equal to like abstract class. In Java, we have class and interfaces. An interface is nothing but a set of methods. And as the same example I said, the C2 you can think like a shape interface, which will contain area and perimeter functions. And you can say C1 class. C1 can be a square class. C2 can be some rectangle. C3 can be some rectangle class. Another class can be circle with different attributes. Once you, for the class, if you want to, in an inheritance point of view, you have to use the word extends. If it is an interface, you are going to use the word implements. That is the difference between an abstract class and interface at a high level. So those who have an idea on C++ again, inheritance are of two types. One is multi-level and multiple. And I already told in Java, there is not multiple, it's only multi-level. First of all, multi-level means C1 class is derived by C2, derived into C2, and C2 is derived into C3, into C4, and so on. There is nothing like in C++, if you have C1 class, you have another class C2, you have class C3. You can have a class C4 which can extend or something equivalent to C1, C2, C3. This is called multiple inheritance. Java does not directly support multiple inheritance. Means a set of classes cannot be extended to a derived class. So one derived class can extend only one base class. That is multi-level inheritance. But Java indirectly supports multiple inheritance with the means of inheritance. So what does it mean? Now, let's say I define interface C2 and let's say interface C3 and let's say interface C4. This is called F3, this is called F4, called F5, F6. I can say C1 implements C2, comma implements C3, comma implements C4, or C2, C3, C4. Yeah. So it says that this C1 class should implement F1, F2, F3, F4, F5 methods. So let me copy them 2 more times. but I still syntax again I need to see. F1, F2, let's say F3, F4, this is called F5, F6. Seems nobody is happy. Good. So to get a better clarity, let me do F3, F4, F5, F6. So I can print all these things. F3, F4. So if in the interview or in any interview, if somebody asks what is the difference between an interface and abstract class, this is the difference. Abstract class. Yeah, let me complete this. Yep, F1, F2, F3, F4, F6. Okay. Now coming back to abstract class, the differences between abstract class interface. Okay. Before discussing about differences, I'm assuming we understood that both abstract class and interface are common. The only the purpose is common. Like whatever methods we don't know at the time of base class level or base interface level, we'll declare them, and in the derived class we'll implement those methods. When it comes to differences, the primary difference is abstract class is a class, interface is an interface. It's a not class. So abstract class can be derived into can be derived by only one class. I mean, one class can extend it, and if there are 2 or 3 abstract classes are there, they cannot be extended by the same class together. But if you have 3 different interfaces, all the interface can be implemented in the same class. So there's the difference between interface and abstract class. And in before Java 8, in the interface are only meant for only declaring the functions, and implementation will happen in the derived classes. But in Java 8 onwards, they allowed to define interfaces also. So there is a keyword called default. So ideally, interface purpose is to declare the functions, and the functions should be implemented by the derived classes. But here, from Java 8 onwards only, not before that, they introduce a new word called default, where in the interface also, like abstract, you can also give some default implementation within the interface level. And if you don't implement F1 function, then the default will be called. If you implement F1 in the derived class, then derived class implemented gets called. Otherwise, base class will be called F1 default interface, because I didn't define the F1 function here. So if you implement an interface, earlier you have seen some red color thing saying that all the non-default methods in the interface or apps should be implemented. Otherwise, the class will not be complete. If the class is not complete, then you cannot create any object of that class. So this is at a high level the difference between abstract and interface. Any questions? Perfect. What is the next topic here today? Yeah. Understanding. I understand your question, and it is expected as I explained. So, if there is a implementation override happens, then override will be given the preference. If it is not overridden, then the default implementation will be given the preference. Is that the question? Perfect. So, nested in our classes, we need to go for this one. I have very little time today for covering these two topics. So, I want to cover one more point, and today I will end up the class with that concept. And in the next session, we'll see about nested inner classes, and then probably we'll see about multi-threading. And probably we'll start with IO in Java. So probably these four can be the next topics for the next session. Topics for the next session. So the one I would like to cover is about a word called final. Oh, let me double check. Yeah, exception handling. Okay. There are three words in Java called final, finally, and finalize. So we are going to talk about final. To give information about finalize, I don't want to show any demo because I'll explain what is finalize, then we'll really know whether we need what about variable in interface. Good question. Yes, we can declare variables in interfaces. Public void. What is this? Can we declare final int x is equal to 5? Yes. So hope you are understood now by this time by moving here and there. So in the interface, yes, we can declare the variables. We need to instantiate also. So if we declare a variable, it gives the meaning that we can create, but in the interfaces, we need to declare the variables and also we need to assign the variables. And those things will be derived into the subsequent classes as per the access specifier, public or default or protected, private. And we can say final also. So that's what I'm going to come about final. Final is nothing but, usually the final word we can see its preference, its significance in three different levels. One is we can declare a variable or member as a final. We can define a method also as final, and we can define a class also final. So a final word can be used at three different levels: in the variable level, and at the method level, as well as at the class level. So when I say final int x is equal to 5 means this x cannot be changed. So in our C language or C++ hash define pi 3.4 is equal to final int x is equal to 5. Both are same. Constant, Java doesn't support hash defined constants. Java indirectly supports constant declarations by using the final word. let me take this one. So the final word can be used in interface as well as classes. Let me go for a class. If I say final int x, x is equal to 5. That's it. Gives an error because you already initialized it. So a final variable can be declared here and assigned only once. Or once I say x is equal to 5, that's it. So a final word you cannot change. Variable cannot be changed further. Once you declare, either you can do declare initialization or declaration and then first assignment, or you can declare them in the constructor also. You can assign the value in constructor also. Like however I did x is equal to 5 after this, the same thing can be kept in constructor also. This is about final word in the variable point of view. When it comes to method point of view, final means if a base class contains f1 and f2 functions, and if you define f2 method as final, then you cannot override it further. If you define a method as final in any base class, except the final methods, the rest of the methods will go to derived classes, and whatever definition you do for the final method in the base class, that will carry forward. That's it. You cannot override them. So that is about the method level. When I say class level final class means if you try to extend a class which has already been declared, then it gives an error saying that this is a final class. This class cannot be derived further. So if you don't want to derive any class further, then we need to go for final class. So the word final can come in 3 levels. Class final, then the class cannot be inherited further, extended further. And method, yes, the method will not come to derived classes. For a member, it's constant. So that's all about for today's session. Maybe I thought I will ramp up a bit faster for the last topic. Maybe I will start this topic in the next session a bit more detail with the good examples, and we'll continue subsequent topics. Nested in the class expression handling, multi-threading, and IO in Java. We'll try. Any questions? Is it clear conceptually? Okay. Thank you all. Good day. I am still waiting for the program for the permutation number of permutations display for a string. Thank you. Good day to you all. Bye.
This conference is no longer being recorded.